Hey guys, yeah, welcome to another video. Ignore the really terribly polygon world. It's because I've got my settings on unlit and it's getting really low. Because whenever I record, for some reason, my GPU has a heart attack. So recording my audio as well as everything in the game, it just doesn't like it. So the world looks a bit blah blah blah. But when I actually run it, I'll show you guys in there. It'll look nice and pretty, like you guys have seen before. Yeah, so today I'm just gonna quickly show you guys, run you guys through the graphics quality settings menu, and add some more settings that we've given to our backers so they can scale the game to their needs. As you can see, my GPU is struggling like hell, just rendering this whilst also recording this. So some people's PCs as well aren't going to be, RTX 3090s and whatnot. So for those of us that aren't, we want to be able to scale it and not have it on epic or cinematic quality at all times. So what I've set up already, if I just go quickly, I'll show you it. Let's go here. Live UI, menu, player menu widget. So if I just show you the widget real quick. So we've just got a widget here with some quality settings. So we've got general quality settings, which is sort of like generalized settings for each one. And then we have advanced quality settings, which kind of gives you more in-depth control and configuration for each quality setting you want. So these override all this stuff. Well, the quality settings like shadow quality, texture quality, shading quality, post-processing. These override that. The FPS resolution and window mode are separate. Yeah, but these override all this. Oh yeah, ignore this text. Actually, that should just be 60. Yeah, so these will override all that. And yeah, and they allow us to create like these generalized configurations for the quality settings. If you're looking here, all the quality settings here you have like foliage, effects, anti-aliasing, view distance, and you can change all these to whatever you want it to be. So what we're basically going to do today is I've already set up the ones for post-processing, shadows, textures, and shading. And we're just going to set up the view distancing, anti-aliasing, effects, and foliage settings as well, just to expose basically all of them. Like initially I was only going to expose a few, like these ones, just to keep it less complicated, but I kind of just thought, like, screw it, you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna if we're doing it, let's may as well just do it all. So yeah, we're just going to expose all of them really. So yeah, let's get going with it. I think first things first, we're gonna have to drop all the text on all this stuff because it's a bit big. Because we need everything to be just a bit smaller. Because the menu already is quite long and quite large, so we need it all just a bit smaller so that we can fit everything in. Also have that. So yeah, let's drop the size to 16. What do we think? Too small? Too big? We're gonna add 4 more, so probably even smaller. That's way too big. 14. 16, and I make all these smaller as well, actually, to be fair. So let me make these smaller as well. Oh, not the button itself. Like that. Let's make this 16. No, I don't like that. Let's make it 20. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. 20 will do for us there. Okay, and that's a bit big as well. Let's make this font size something like that. That'll do. Okay, that'll do. That's nice. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I literally went down to. Let's make it 38 or something like that. There we go. Because now what we can do is if we take our vertical box here, we can slide it up to this point here, stretch it back down, and now we can add all these extra buttons that we want to have, which is cool. So let's get going. Actually, before I do that, let me actually showcase you working. Let me just make sure this is recording. I always want to make sure. Let me just showcase you working. I'm not going to speak while I'm doing it, but I'll speak after. So when I load the game, if I press start on the controller, because I've actually wired it up. If I show you here the project settings, I've actually set up the input here to be that for the toggle menu, to be that of the right star or the M on the keyboard. So if we play,
use the left stick to move.
here we go. So if you see there what I did, let me just make sure. I just want to make sure I'm not double up. Yeah. So if you see there, you was able to toggle between the two, which pretty easy to do. So yeah, toggle between the two using the menu button. Yeah. So like that was that. And yeah, you can see all the options at the moment. Oh, I didn't even show you the thing actually working. So let me do it now.
Use the left stick to move. Use the right stick to control the camera. Hold the left bumper to walk. I find walking helpful if I need less speed for a jump.
So if you see that, you could change all the settings, adjust each ones to whatever it needs to be. These are just the default statements I have for them. So you can adjust all the settings, have them at low, have them however you want to be. If we go to the graph, this is the interesting part really. What I've got here, first of all, for the generalized settings, so I've got these variables that in a little statement here, I use the function get game user settings, which stores the user settings for the client on drive. And I just basically set all these settings that I'm going to use. I set them all here. And then I assign it here, the variables that I've set here, for the different configurations here. And then I've got some logic here that clamps basically plus or minuses between 0 ranges and subtracts it for 1. So when I want to reduce the index of the resolution, I just clamp it between 0 and 4, a subtraction. I set that as a resolution index. The resolution is different because you've got to set some images and whatnot. But yeah, for this, I'll show you anyway. You'll see this when I actually go through it and do the next few. So yeah, let's crack on with it. So I don't know why I just closed that, because I actually need it. So yeah, let's add it. So I think first of all we have to set up the widget stuff for it. So let's do that now real quick. So we've got text window, blah 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 blah. Let's close up these horizontal boxes just to make it look a bit neater. I don't know why it always opens up whenever I jump in. We are gonna just copy this, paste some stuff. So here we go. So what we got? So here we need to have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got foliage, effects, anti-aliasing, and distance, and view distance. So if we take these two, where do we want it? Really, I think we want it just underneath the quality stuff. I think that's probably the best place to have it. I'm also going to move post-processing and FPS. I'm going to swap them around. Because I think they're better off this like this, and then because this is the stuff you can't change, this is all the stuff you can change, and we'll have it that way instead. So if we take this, Control C, Control V, move it up to that. That's one. Control C. I don't need to do that again. Control V. Move it up there. Like that. Bingo. So this post-processing one is actually correct, because you see here it's processing plus. So we're actually going to go through and change this. So we're going to change this first. So this is going to say foliage. It doesn't say that. Let me just drag this open again so I can see it properly. So this is going to say foliage quality. Yeah, little tip. No, that's not it. If you want to make it all caps rather than having to type out all caps, there's this transform policy button here that you can select whether you want it all upper or lower. The file I'm using doesn't have any lowercase characters, so that's why I have to use that transform policy. But it's easier than having to type out all caps. So yeah, so you got foliage quality, effects quality, view distance, anti-alias. There we go. So now we have all these extra colors. We're just gonna quickly just drop the size of this spacer here so we can get. Ooh, okay. So we might actually have to make the text smaller again. Let's move this up because it's not all fitting on the screen. I think really I don't want to change the size of any of this. I think it's really just more so a case of the text of the actual boxes themselves, because yeah, I don't necessarily want to change the generalized stuff text, because I don't know, I feel like if I make it any smaller it's just not very readable. So yeah, let's drop this to 12. Like they can pretty much be low, do you know what I mean? They don't have to be necessarily super high, so I have no issue with that. The only thing that's a bit annoying me is this this like spacing. I don't know if I necessarily like it. Can I align it like this? Because obviously the FBX box. Why is that so big? I don't even know. I don't know why this box is so big. It should make sense to me, but whatever. Ooh, that works quite well actually. But I'd rather them all be on the left side, you know what I mean? Rather than on the right side. Oh, we'd have to swap that all around again. Okay, that was boring. I'll do that. I'll do that in my own time. That's boring for you guys to watch. And then what I'm gonna actually do here is just drop all the spacer sizes as well, because we have spaces in between each one just for the organization of the things. I'm gonna just change all that and just drop the sizings of the spaces. Because they're all 25. So let's make them all 10. There we go. Now it's looking kind of good. All right, there we go. Lovely. So got all our different we got all our settings done. Now what we need to do is basically create names and values for each of these buttons. So as you see, it's processing -1, but that's wrong. So we're gonna have here this one. That's gonna be foliage minus. This one is going to be foliage plus. There you go. That's literally it. This is going to be effects minus. And then this one here is going to be effects plus. This is going to be view distance. So I'm just going to say distance minus distance plus. And then this is going to be aliasing minus and aliasing plus. There you go, bingo. So as you can see there, that's all the quality stuff that we need to have. Don't need any more nonsense really from that. We've got all our buttons assigned: foliage minus, foliage plus, foliage minus, foliage plus. I should really change these to plus and minuses, but we'll just leave it like that. Next arrows of that. So yeah, let's crack on. So now if we go into the graph, you see I've got a load of thingies here, but what we want to add, if we now go on each one, so we go aliasing plus, we add an unclicked, aliasing minus, we add an unclicked. I'm going to swap these around actually, because the way I was doing it for the other ones, I had my minus first. So I'm just going to make sure I keep consistent in that regard. Distance minus, unclicked. Distance plus, unclicked. Effects minus, unclicked. Effects plus, unclicked. Then we have foliage minus, unclicked. And foliage plus, unclicked. So we go. We've got all our new buttons. We have the, like, if we press them now, this event will fire. So what we need to now do is basically set, first of all, we need to create variables to hold these values that we want. But before we do that as well, we need to set these values here. When we press apply, we want to set values because we want to set our quality values. So what I'm going to do is, before we set like shadow quality and all that stuff, actually, yeah, because we've got a little chain that I don't want to mess up. Maybe we can. We'll just pop it right after post-processing. I'm just going to do this. Just going to alt there. Remove that link. We're going to take this. Yeah, it's very big stay. I'm just going to drag it a bit further down. We're going to give ourselves a nice, good amount of room to get the remaining 4 in. Probably even more than you think you need. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to drag off from this, add a reroute node here. And then we're going to drag up from this, and then say we'll set effects, visual effect quality. So this is going to be used to set the quality of the effects. But because we need a value, I'm going to also what I'm going to do here, do like this, just because I made it really look nice and pretty. So I'm like, let's keep it going. And then we're going to do this, and then we're going to promote this to a variable. And this value here, we're going to say is going to be effects quality. So there we go. So now we've got the variable to hold the quality of the effect, and we set it when we press apply, the apply button, which we've set up at the bottom here. So now we're going to do the exact same thing for the remaining 4. So I'm going to add a reroute node here. We set foliage quality. Like that. Drag it off there. I'm going to promote this to a variable. Then we'll say foliage quality to the name of the variable. Drag it in, make it look nice and neat. And now I'm just going to copy this across and do the remainder ones real quick. This. Actually, delete that. Set anti-aliasing quality. Anti-aliasing quality. In here, actually, I am going to change this text to anti-aliasing quality as well. Let me do the same again. It's down again. We do set view distance quality. Do this up to that. We're going to promote this to a variable. Drag it into place, rename it, and that's going to be view distance quality. There we go. Bingo. Easy peasy. And then we'll do one more reroute node there. Drag it up to that. Like that. Just like that. So now everything is set up. When we press apply, we've got all our 4 new ones in. When we press apply, we're going to set the values to whatever they are. Now, one thing we need to do is, which I've got here, we need to initialize these settings so that when the first game first happens, we need to basically have variables that we set to them. So we don't want to be setting a value. So imagine someone plays and presses apply. It'd be fine, but then we need to actually load the variables into them. into these values as well, because we're also going to be displaying this stuff. And we don't want them to be displayed as their default values of 0, whatever we compile, of 0, blah, blah. We want them to be displayed as the actual values held by the system. So we're going to go here, we get the game user settings, we load in the settings from that the user has, and then what we do is we set these settings to each variable that we have. When we get the setting and we set it. So again, I'm going to quickly just boot from window mode, get all this stuff. This is what I use for the setting the resolution and whatnot. And we're just going to drag it further down. Don't need as much space. And then, yeah, then all we're going to do is same again. We're just going to add a rewrite node, just for the sake of, I'm only doing this part for the sake of keeping it clean. And then we're going to get effects quality. Reroute node. Get foliage quality. Reroute node. They would say get view distance quality. So get, oh no, reroute node. So get anti-aliasing quality. There we go. Oh, speaking of that, look at this. Perfecto. Reroute node to that. There you go. So now we've got all our qualities. Now we just need to set all our variables that we have. So we set our effects quality. We're going to set our foliage quality. If you notice, I like to keep all my reroute nodes underneath just because it's neater. People do it differently, but I think it looks a lot neater when you keep it all underneath. And then you set your anti-aliasing quality. So here, so we set all of them. Then we're going to drag off visual effects, going to go to that. Foliage, going to go to that. That's going to go to that. That is going to go to that. Try yourself to make it look nice and neat, pretty. And then just going to drag between. And cool. That now, when the game's loaded, this widget is loaded, it loads in the right settings, assigns them properly so that they will display the correct stuff of what the settings currently are. Cool. Now, what we need to do before we crack on with anything else, we need to now basically link those buttons together, because when those button presses are pressed, they're not going to do anything because they don't have any impact on the quality values. So we go back in our graph out of this function here, and this function, and this function. And we're going to go here down to where we have our button presses. And we can actually, now we need to assign the change in values. First, before you do that, let's do set up the generalized setting stuff. So I'm actually going to go in here, not in here, sorry, into the Initialize game settings one. And then these 4 ones that we just set up, I'm just going to copy them just so I have all the setters. Control C them back into my event graph. I'm just going to add them on here. And basically we want them all to be 0 if it's low. One if it's medium. We set settings to high. We want them to be 2. This changes, and this could be determined by the type of variables you're using here. So if you're using like resolution and things, it's a bit different because you have to set up some logic with some indexes and things. But because we're only setting up for the values at the moment with quality, the actual quality values, it's a bit easier for us, so we can just have indexes. And all these indexes are the same thing, because you'll see here when we set the shading quality, it says 0 to 4. There's different ones we can have, because you can have low, medium, high, epic, and cinematic. And same goes with visual effects, quality, anti-aliasing, and view distance. So, but we don't have a cinematic setting. You can set that in advanced. So here we have 0, 1, 2, 3. So we've got our 4 settings that we can have. Now, so that's good. That's good for the configurations. That'll change all these values correctly. So that's that done. Now we need to set up the logic for the buttons. And what we're going to do, we're going to go in here where we have one for the processing. And if you see, what we do here is we get the processing quality variable. We subtract 1 from it and add 1 from it depending on the button press. We clamp the variable. Now what this does, this basically limits what the variable can be between 0 and 1. So if it's 2, it's fine. If it's 3, it's fine. If it's 4, it's fine. If it's 5, because the max value here on the clamp is 4, it will automatically just become 4. So it can't go any higher. Then we set the variable. So a mistake you probably see a lot of people do is they set the variable after this and then clamp it, and then output it. And that's fine, but you're setting it twice, to make it work. Or if you set the variable before, it won't be clamped, and therefore the variable will still be higher. You can then clamp and this return value would be correct. But what is going to happen is if you keep pressing minus, or same goes for the minimum, if it's 1, it's fine. If we subtract, it goes to 0. Fine. Subtract, go to -1. It won't go any lower. It'll go to 0. If we keep taking away from it, this, and we had this before, the variable will keep reducing, but this, and then the output would be still 0. But then if we go to add, we want the output to then be 1, but it would then be, say if it was -10, it'd be -9 and get clamped to 0, so it'd be wrong. So you need to make sure this is after. And yeah, other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. So we're just literally going to copy this, because it's, get rid of this. And we're just going to bring this down. I'm going to do it for all 4 of these new ones. So yeah, so let's just do that real quick. Cool. So obviously we don't want to set the post-process quality. So really, we just need this. This is what we need to go. So we're going to get, this one is the aliasing. So we're going to get the aliasing quality, link it up to there, link it up to there. And then we want to set the aliasing quality, link it up to that, pull this down, it's got to be neat and straight, and then link that to there. And that's that. Oh, I messed up. Yeah, that's that. Pretty easy, to be honest. Nothing too crazy, nothing too difficult. All pretty self-explanatory. And that's what we need. That'll literally do it with your plus and minuses. Just remember, if you have your plus minuses a different way around, remember to have this swapped as well. So we're literally just going to set that up for the remaining 3. So again, here, distance, we're going to get new distance quality minus plus 1. Before I forget as well, I didn't change this to distance quality, did I? Set this view distance quality. So that. Let's do this real quick, and we'll set the effects quality, link that up. Try and keep your things as organized as possible, well, sort of like I'm doing, so I have like a similar pattern. I can't stress enough to you the importance of it, especially blueprints. Like, man, blueprints become the most annoying, hell-raising thing ever. Like, this is what I mean. Like, we have a menu with a lot of buttons. Really, I'm going to probably try and transfer all this to code. But like, once you add logic, just look how it becomes so, it's disgusting. Whereas code is nice and clean and structured. I know this looks all, but it's just so structured, you know. And one line, like, this is all a line. This is a line, whereas it's 3 nodes in this. So I'm not the world's biggest blueprint back, but can't win them all. But for now, it's quicker to prototype it, for sure. So yeah, so here, that is the main chunk of it. I'm pretty sure we know what's done actually. So yeah, there we go. So now, when we do whatever we want to do, that is going to work. The plus, the minuses, that's all set up, and that's all going to work like a charm. However, there's one last thing we need to do, and that is the text here. We need this text to correlate to the actual value of the user's game settings. And this again is why we load in those settings when we initialize it, why we initialize these settings, because we need, when the game first loads and the menu loads, for them to be correct and not default. So yeah, so what we're going to do is here, for each one, we need to create a binding basically. And the binding is going to allow us to get that quality value and then going to output the respective text based on whatever value we have. Basically, I've already got it set up. So you can see here, I just get the variable. I use a switch statement to basically switch on the different values it could be. And then I return a different string depending on which one. And then I bind that to the text. As you can see here, this binding. So if we do that, we'll do an example. We'll do them all of them actually. So if we go here to the foliage quality, hit this, we can do this, create a binding. I'm going to say F2, get foliage quality. And then we go here, we could just copy this whole bad boy here, because we're going to keep them all the same anyway. While it's consistent. Get rid of view, sorry. You want to do a switch on a value, but if you actually show, you could just do switch on int. Then you were to just, if you were to do that, you just add a pin, all the values you want to have. But because I'm actually trying to do this to save time, I'm just going to copy it. And then you just drag in the variable you'd want. So we want also foliage quality. So we'd want to grab the foliage quality variable, get that, attach that to this. And then you'd just do return. You can add a return node, set the text you want in there, and then yeah, output this, and I'll return it for each one. Now I'm going to change this for 1 or 2 of them. So the foliage quality, that works on a low, medium, high, epic cinematic scale. The anti-aliasing and view distance are different, so I'll just quickly do effects quality again now. So let me just see, get effects quality, get view distance quality, get anti-aliasing quality. So here now, in effects quality, basically all we're going to change is the variable. That's it. That's what we're going to change. Still happens to say. Now, for the view distance quality, let's just make sure I got that. Yeah. For the view distance quality, what we are going to change is, if you see here, the view distance works on a near, medium, far, epic scale. Anti-aliasing actually works on the same, but view distance works on near, medium, far, and epic. So we're going to just change the text, right? So if we have this, get rid of that. View distance, get that, drag that up to this. So we just have this near, medium, far. Nope. Just make it. This actually doesn't actually matter because it's all going to. So. Oh my goodness, I'm so stupid. There you go, just like that. Bingo, easy. Cool. So now that's that. Go back in here. Oh, one more. Anti-aliasing, got to do the same. This works on the same of the low, medium, high. So do that. Get that variable. Bingo, just like that. Nice. Okay, cool. Let's close all these tabs because I hate tabs on everything. So we just have the event graph open. Now go back into our designer. Now we just need to assign the binding. So foliage, we've assigned the binding. Here we go to this, find our effects quality, bind this text to get view distance quality, bind this text to get anti-aliasing quality. So now all these have their binding to their respective one. And this, so yeah. So now if we play, we should hypothetically be able to change all these settings. Oh, and one thing I didn't show you. So when I do this here on the click to apply, I get the game user setting so I can set all these values. But then at the very end, target must. Oh, silly me. There we go. Yeah, the game user settings. When I apply settings, I use this function apply settings, which literally applies all of it to the game and saves it to like permanent storage. So it saves it to drive. So that's you. There's also save settings, I think, but I don't know. But the apply settings does it. That's all I needed it to do. So now if I hit compile, there you go. So apply settings after all the setters. Just do that variable, that function. So now if we play, give it a, and we
use the left stick to move. Use the right stick to control the camera.
as you can see, I can now change all of them.
Hold the left bumper.
Changes between them.
I find walking helpful.
Sorry about the jumping, is because the mouse button click and I haven't disabled input. What you need to do here is actually set input mode to UI only when you do this, but I'll show you.
You're going to want to sprint to get around faster or build up speed for bigger jumps.
So here.
Careful though, if you use sprint for too long, you'll run out of stamina pretty quick. You can also adjust the camera. Press down on the D-pad and move the right stick up or down to move the camera in or out. Play around with these to find which camera suits you best or looks the coolest. Alright, now you can move. Let's look at adding some flow to your movement. Plants and
this is behaving a bit weird actually. This anti-aliasing button.
And they look pretty cool too.
We're just gonna make sure that's set up correctly. But yeah, you can change all of these. I'm just pressing buttons. So let's go low and let's do a medium configuration, and then view distance. Let's go near anti-aliasing. Let's go. And if we can apply.
Try doing some 360 and 270 turns.
There we go. Again, change everything to low. Yeah, low. 30 FPS. Let me just
press
largest 30 FPS.
To jump.
Apply.
Right. Let's look at doing a couple different parkour moves. The more you play, the more tricks you'll learn and master.
So I was actually playing the thing as it was going ahead. I was having some weird behavior with the was it? It was the view distance one, wasn't it? Or the anti-aliasing. It was one of them. Value just fine. Effects is fine. Distance. What's going on here? Distance plus, distance minus. Okay, so I have no reason. There's no reason why that shouldn't be working the exact same. Let me see. It could be something buggy. Let's see here. View distance wasn't like this. So this is distance minus, distance plus, that's fine. Let's just make sure. I mean, it works. It's just been a bit weird. It's not really functioning as amazingly as I would hope. Epic. Oh, one thing I also need to do is here when I So yeah, that should that's that. That is that. Yeah, cool. So you let's go see. So when I initialize this. Sorry, I'm just making sure I've not messed up somewhere as to why it's behaving weird. There should literally be no reason why it's behaving weird. Let's do this one time.
Hold the right trigger to enter Parkour Mode. You'll need to have this pressed if you want to do any moves.
Oh, there we go. Okay, it works fine now.
When you're in Parkour Mode, flick up on the right stick to perform a cat pass. Let's try do one over here. I'll go first.
Okay, so it works fine now. I don't know why I was behaving really weird. Low, we'll have view distance as medium. I put it to windowed. There we go. I want this. Yeah. Back into it. Lighting, effects quality. Flexible. A lot of shaders could probably, so that could be some stuff. But yeah, that is it, guys. That is literally it. We've set up the qualities menu. We've exposed all the variables to the player. They can now change everything as and where they please.
Yo, welcome to
No
Dora
thanks to them.
Parkour Pro.
So yeah, that's literally everything. They can now change everything how they would like to. Got all the settings up there. That's messed up. That needs to come back. So that's just, but those are more UI tweaks themselves. But all the different settings for the player are now available for them to tweak and play and mess around with. So yeah, awesome, guys. I'm gonna leave it at that. I think really then I'd say, like, I gotta move all this stuff central, all that crap. But that's all boring stuff. It's just with the UI making it look correct. So yeah. I'd say that's it, pretty much it, guys. Other than that, that's it. I'll leave it there. And I'll have another video out for you guys pretty soon. Hopefully in a day or two. 43 minutes. Quite long, but it's what it is. Awesome, guys. Catch you later.